We're at 401 North Market Street. It is the home of everything Frederick. You can come here and get all kinds of great stuff, but you can't get the bread from Sarah. Butter's Bread. Sarah is joining me today. Thank you for coming on Good Morning Frederick.
Thank you so much for having me. This is so exciting.
Well, I'm so excited to have you. And what a journey you've been on fairly recently.
Yes.
So, okay, you bake bread.
Yes.
You brought me a sample. I'm not sharing with anyone. I love the bread, you can tell. I'm Italian and I love the bread. Sourdough is your thing.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's been a craze, but I think I've just kind of come upon people who are really growing this market of sourdough bread.
You're not wrong. I think that it really made a resurgence during COVID.
Absolutely.
When the grocery stores were running low on certain staples like baker's yeast, which is, very common. You can usually find it. But during the pandemic, there was a shortage. So folks were at home, they had the time, and they started to get curious again about the old ways of doing things and discovering wild yeast, which is sourdough.
Okay. That wild yeast. I
Yes.
didn't even think about it in that way.
Yes.
You're the first person actually who's brought that up. Now, there are tons of stories on the internet and people I know about the starter.
Yes.
You have to have a starter. First of all, does yours have a name?
Absolutely.
What?
So I ordered my starter specifically dehydrated from San Francisco.
Okay, that's where, I was going to say that was my first entry into sourdough. I used to do tours out of California. Was in San Francisco a lot.
Great.
The bread bowls with the crab soup or whatever sort of chowder or whatever was in it. Amazing. So you got yours from San Francisco.
Yes, I specifically ordered it from San Francisco because that's kind of like the heart of where it started in the U.S.
All right.
And because she's from San Francisco, her name is Fran.
I love it, Fran. Okay. And this is just so fascinating to me, but there are starters that have been going for generations. So how does that work? So you are able to pull a little bit and then refeed it flour and water just to keep it growing?
Yes.
Oh,
However,
so
I would caution anyone, you're going to see places and people online that are trying to sell starter that are like from the 1800s. And from the Oregon Trail. And okay, so the thing is, when that happens, you're continuously, like you said, feeding it. So you're feeding it water and flour, and then you're using a portion of it to bake. So we have to remember, though, that it's diluting out the original.
Yeah.
So you're really not getting a starter
it's like
from like the 1800s.
saying your grandmother is from the Oregon Trail and it's just generations beyond.
Yeah,
and
eventually
she's not really the same.
It just becomes wherever that starter lived in the last place before you got it. That's really where it's coming from. So
that
don't
does
be
make
fooled.
more sense, obviously. Yes, because you're just it's getting less and less of the original and more of your own flavor.
Yes.
Okay, so do you do more than bread?
I've started to dabble and expand into other products, but I will be honest with you, bread is like that's at my path. Yes. And there are tons of recipes that you can find online that incorporate sourdough, specifically discard, which I'm not a huge fan of discard, but we could talk about that all day. But you can do chocolate chip cookies, which I've done.
Yeah.
Focaccia is another type of bread, but it's a little bit different than your classic artisan loaves.
Yeah.
So I've ventured into other things, cinnamon rolls, things like that. But my heart and my passion is really with the bread.
Yeah, okay. As a cottage baker, you're baking in your home. How tough is it? That's been the one big thing about trying to plan out.
Oh boy.
So you do a lot of the farmers markets.
Yes.
That's where you've really started to expand. So I'm assuming coming up to a farmers market, you're trying to plan out the baking times and the rising times and all of that.
Yes. Fortunately, I have a very active starter. So when I go to bulk her up, meaning when I go to basically make all that starter to accommodate all that bread, she reacts very quickly.
Wow.
Now, if you have a starter that has been in the refrigerator for a little while or that you haven't really like worked with, it can take longer. But that being said, my baking schedule is tight. It is a 2-day process.
Okay.
So there's a lot of overlap in the
Yeah.
process. Like one day you're gonna have to do dough, and then the next day you're gonna have to bake that dough. But then you have to start prepping dough for the next market coming
Right.
up. And then I have a lot of porch pickup orders and very loyal customers.
Nice.
In between.
Okay.
So it's never really a set schedule, and you just
It's
kind of
just
have
constant.
to like figure it out as you go. Yeah.
I like it. Okay, so you were a government contractor.
Yes.
And recently, with all of the kind of the upheaval, you just said, you know what, I'm not gonna worry about it anymore. I'm just I'm ripping the Band-Aid, and I'm going full time.
As of April 15th, I quit my full-time position as a government contractor, and it was something that was on my heart that I wanted to go full-time.
Yeah.
And then just with everything happening right now, it was like,
A good excuse.
yeah, why not? Why
Yeah.
not now?
Yeah.
If not now, never.
Right,
so,
right.
Yeah, but it was, I'm going to be honest with you, it was a very heart-wrenching decision to
Yeah.
leave because I actually really liked
Oh, you
my
don't-
full-time job.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
was a software analyst with the FAA. And
Okay.
I got to say, that was like, shout out to them. That was literally the best job I've ever had.
Aw.
So it was very
that's tough.
bittersweet to have to
Yeah.
make that decision.
Yeah.
But everyone was super supportive and they understood and, you know, really good people. So it wasn't anything like bad terms.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So it was very
that was
supportive.
tough. That was a tough
It was
decision.
so tough because those people were great to work
Oh,
with.
yeah. And how long were you there?
Just shy of 4 years.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
And okay, so how can people get a hold of your bread if they can't go to the market? You say you do porch pickups.
Yes, I do
and
porch
so
pickup.
do people go online? Do you have some sort of ordering timing and all of that?
So thankfully right now I've been able to work on social media platforms.
Okay.
People usually reach out on Facebook,
All right.
Instagram, but it always seems to work out that
Great.
the people, when they need the bread, it works into my time frame. And if it doesn't, we just have that conversation and we figure it out.
Yeah.
But the best place that you can come and get it and see all the new flavors that I'm trying to introduce and incorporate and rotate around, come to those farmers markets
Yeah.
because not only are you going to get my bread, but you're going to see all these other fantastic vendors, and we have food trucks and local music, and it's incredible. Produce, all the artisans, it's just a really good experience.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And the farmers markets are all posted in our Everything Frederick calendar, and you know where to get that. But if you don't, click on the link in the description of the video and you'll see it. Because the farmers markets are so important to cottage businesses and small artisans
Yes,
and, you know, our
absolutely.
farmers and things like that. So I'm all about supporting them as well. And you can see Sarah and get her bread. Fran, get a little piece of Fran when you purchase your breads. If there was one thing you'd want people to know about you and your baking, what would that be?
I would say that there's a difference, and it's not just with me. Like, I don't mean to speak for other cottage bakers, but I think this is pretty universal amongst all of us. It's that what we do is we do it because we love it, and you can literally, I feel like, taste the difference when someone has made something that they're passionate about, that they care about. So when you buy bread from someone like me, a cottage baker or another small business, it's different than when you buy the industrialized bread in the grocery store. If you have a concern or problem or a question and you come to someone like us, we're going to care, and it's going to make the difference. So
plus it doesn't have all that crap inside.
Oh yeah,
you know?
absolutely.
You know, it's not filled with preservatives and all that other stuff, which I think a lot of people are really now trying to be educated about and get the real things. I mean, you're talking 3 or 4 ingredients, right?
Water, flour, salt.
Yeah, and then maybe some flavorings as far as natural, you know, things that you put in there. I mean, you can't get any better than that.
Right.
And I think a lot of people who try cottage bakers' breads aren't having the reactions that they have when they buy even store-bought sourdough or store-bought other brands because not all that stuff is in it.
Yes,
so,
and it's the process too.
Yeah, well, we appreciate you being a part of the Frederick community. We
Yes,
can't wait
thank
to see
you.
what you do next. Check her out at all the farmers markets. I'll have all her socials on screen for you so you can order for yourself, and I can't wait to have my bread.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.